Good morning, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. It's a beautiful morning here again. The sun is just coming through the window here. It's so warm on my neck. Who'd have thought it? We are having the most beautiful autumn. It's bright today, it's warm. There's a bit of a stiff breeze, but that's okay. Mists and mellow fruitfulness. Yay! Oh, just got one of my squash just rolled onto my feet. I've come into the shed this morning having, the other day, harvested a bit more of my lavender. Oh, and the shed smells gorgeous. I harvested it and then I ran out of time to hang it up, so that's one of my little jobs to do today. I think I was mentioning recently my with time, and I'm trying each day to do one big job and then 2 or 3 little jobs, so that's one of my little jobs. The main job today though is to get the flint corn harvest in. It looks rubbish this year, we'll talk about that later. Now, one of my other things to do, or was going to be to do in the next few days, I've spoken a few times about our burn pile. So over the course of the summer and the autumn, as people cut things down, especially where people are pruning fruit trees, that sort of thing, we save all that material, and each year we have a bonfire night party on the 5th or around the 5th of November. So we have our bonfire, we have a few fireworks, we have some pumpkin soup, that sort of thing. Yay! But this year the pile got massive and way out of control. It actually looks like people have been bringing a lot of stuff from home, which is naughty. So I had spoken with a couple of our committee members recently to say, okay, why don't we, before bonfire night, let's pull that pile apart. I can rescue a load of trunks and branches of trees to use as sturdy stakes and poles next year. We can burn off some of the rubbish, get the whole area under control and safe for bonfire night. I've come down today and they've done it already. I wanted to pitch in and help, but they got a bit enthusiastic and carried away. They've burnt nearly everything. Oops. So there's a tiny bit of material left for bonfire night. Great. But what's a bit disappointing, so we're going to go around the whole site and see what we can find, is on Sunday the 11th of November it will be 100 years since the end of the Great War, World War One, and all around the country people are going to be, I get choked up about this because it's so meaningful and important. Oh lordy, yeah, so on the 11th the idea is that all around the country people light a fire to commemorate the 100 years have elapsed since the end of the First World War, and to have time to remember and be grateful and to be thankful. So we really want to have our Armistice fire on the 11th. So we need to go and start finding some material. So what I'm going to do with my flint corn today, I'm going to have the leaves off for me to chop up and use as mulch, compost, what have you. But all the stalks and stems I will take to our burn pile for our Armistice fire. Right, isn't it funny the things that make you, that bubble emotions up? But there we go. We should always remember and be grateful. Okay, so on that note, I need to get out into the garden and start getting on with this harvest. What a contrast with last year. Last year they were 8 foot, really large. Oh my goodness, it was the most giddy making harvest ever. Yeah, just getting completely lost in my den of flint corn. So, I am disappointed I think I'm mostly disappointed to not have that massive lush growth. I am still going to have something to eat. But they've clearly not been happy this year. Actually, I was just chatting with Gary, he's just harvested his too. So although his growth was a bit taller and more lush, his cobs are tiny, apparently. So I think they just did not enjoy the heat and the dryness. So I'll get all the cobs off, then I'm going to strip the leaves off, chop those up for mulch, compost, whatever, and then the thick parts of the stalks I'm going to add to our little bonfire for Armistice, hopefully. So, let's get on. See you later. Well, that really is a minuscule harvest. I've had a couple out already, but that's it. So, I haven't counted them, but that's in a little under 4 square metres. Pretty much 1 cob per plant this year, as opposed to 2 or 3 like last year. Never mind, it's something, isn't it? And in such a tricky year, I'm grateful for everything. So, time to get these prepared for the final bit of drying back in the shed. With your flint corn, both for storage and for use in the kitchen, you want it bone dry. So, ideally, leave it on the plant for as long as possible to dry. Last year, I think I did it in 1 more week's time, but we do some rain, so I thought, you know what, let's get it done today. But as you can probably see, that one's still, can you see, it's such a bright sunlight, isn't it? That one's still really quite green, this one's really quite dry. Ideally, that would have been left on the plant for longer to dry, but like I said, time to get on. The shield bugs this year, there's so many of them. So at this stage, I'm going to remove a few of the outer leaves. I'll leave 2 or 3 outer leaves because that's how I'm going to hang it up. this one's all leaf and no cob. Yikes. Actually, let's just trim that end off a bit. I don't need that much end. This is the bit that's like Christmas. Don't know what I'm going to get. Actually, it's more like pass the parcel. There's that many layers. And then the beauty is revealed. Isn't that an absolutely gorgeous sight to behold? So I'm just going to wipe the silks off. Gorgeous. So I'll do this with the whole lot, and then just using their leaves at the top, tie them up, hang them in the shed, and let them finish drying. Last year they hung in the shed till, oh gosh, end of January. That was partly because, if you remember, at this time last year I was gearing up to go into hospital for my op, and I didn't get into the garden for the whole of December. I was a bit nervous that rats or mice might get into the shed and eat the lot, but they didn't. So I don't know how long they'll hang there this year. It depends a little bit on the weather, because if it starts to get really damp, then I may just bring them home earlier and let them finish drying at home. This one that is still really green, actually, it's really tough to get into because the leaves are still wrapped really tightly on the cob. Here we go. Another beauty. Oh, just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. I'm getting a lot of grey this year. The ones I've already had off have all been really grey too, so I'm not getting many of this sort of the pinky raspberry colours. Gary's harvested a few of his, and he has had more of the pinky ones. He got my pink seeds. And I'm glad of that, actually, because he's having it for decoration. So I gave him a couple this time last year, and his wife loved them, absolutely loved them, and loved the idea of having them for decorating the house through autumn and up to and around Christmas. So I said, would you like some seed? Here's some seed. They're delighted. So look at that little stumpy dumpy one. Yes, I'm glad that his have come out with quite a few more colours. That's going to please his wife no end in terms of decorating the house. Yay! It is like early Christmas unwrapping all of these. More grey. Oh, one little tiny bit of pink. There we go. Well, look, this is obviously going to take me a little while to do, so I'll get on with this. Once I've got these all opened and popped in the shed, I'll go back to that bed, strip all the leaves off, chop them up, which is going to be really tedious, and then get the plants out, give that bed a bit of a tickle, and think about what I can put on the top of it for the winter. Maybe some of that, some of those piles of compost that are just randomly dotted around my various beds. Yes, that's what I'll do. So, why don't you all go and have a nice cup of tea whilst I get on with this in this beautiful, beautiful sunshine. It's glorious. Happy harvesting still. This job now is undoubtedly a bit time consuming and, dare I say it, a little bit tedious, but waste not, want not. Nothing in the garden goes to waste, and on such a beautiful afternoon, why not? So, can you hear me above all the crackling crunching? I'm going to strip all the leaves, chop them a bit, get the plants out. Whatever's left of the part that's dry and hopefully burnable, take it to our burn pile and add it to what we can burn for our 11th of November fire. So yeah, it'll take a bit of time, but it'll be worth it. So I'll get this lot chopped down, get all the plants out. The soil, I'm hoping, won't be too compact, because it's a bed that I haven't walked on this at all this summer. So I'm hoping it'll just be a case of give it a quick tickle, check to see if there's any bindweed there. If there is, have it out, obviously. And then all of this stuff that I'm chopping up, give it a quick tickle, put all this stuff back on top, probably give it another really good watering, all this material, because some of it is quite dry. Get it covered with cardboard, and that's another bed sorted for its fallow period over the winter. And then next year this will have tomatoes in it. And I'm thinking that whatever doesn't fall down with this with the corn foliage, because like I said, there's quite a lot of it that is dry, I'm thinking, well, fine, I'll just plant through it when it comes to getting the tomatoes in there. So yeah, that can be part of our bonfire. Yay! And then of course, after the fire, I can go and get myself some lovely ash. So it all comes round full circle. And it really is, as you can probably see, the most beautiful afternoon. So I think this is probably going to take me maybe a couple of hours to get done. But I didn't schedule anything else for today. So there's no hurry, no stress. Just get on with it and enjoy the moment. And find any cobs that I missed. It's days like today that I wish I had a shredder. Oh, that'd be so much quicker. You know, it'd be quicker, but sometimes going slowly is nicer. Oh, I just love the light of this time of year. Oopla. It's gorgeous. But the long shadows are saying I need to get a wriggle on. So all I've done is I've given it a bit of a light forking. There's tons of the little fibrous roots down in there still. Great. And I'll just get this lot on. Give it a bit of a wet. It's not going to be much stuff actually. Give it a bit of a wet, get it covered, and that's another bed tucked up for winter. I've actually inadvertently or advertently turned in a load of little nasturtium seeds as well, but that's fine because I like the nasturtiums just self-seeding, and then next summer they can run rampant under the tomatoes and act as a bit of mulch / ground cover. Right, let's get this wet and covered before it blows away. Yay, another good job done. Well, that has been another beautiful day in paradise. I feel like it's Groundhog Day. I feel like every time I've spoken to you guys in October, I'm saying, oh, it's such a beautiful day, it's so sunny, it's so bright, it's so lovely. But the truth is, yes, we've had a couple of rain days and we had that drizzly day. We're having this amazing, beautiful kind of, it's not summer obviously, but it just feels like summer didn't really want to go, and so this brightness, this light has stayed with us, and I just think it's so good for the soul. I know that when we get into January and February, on the days when I don't manage to get outside, I will feel miserable, and so much of that for me is about the light and the air. And of course, having that little bit of warmth helps too. I got quite sweaty at one point. So, I'm making the most of it while it lasts. It is getting cold now at night. So, for any of you who've got anything tender still out there, think about protecting it. Maybe bring it indoors if you can. Which reminds me, this weekend, one of my jobs is to get all my pelargoniums, home, to overwinter them at home. Yeah, some of them are looking a bit straggly already, but I'm sure I'll get them home and revive them. Anyway, that was a good little sesh today. It's the kind of stuff, all of those little jobs, they take ages, so it's definitely not the sort of stuff to do if you're in a hurry, if you've got a long list of jobs, because you'd just be rushing and stressing. It's definitely the kind of thing to do on a day like today that's quiet, sunny, warm, a few friends out and about to say hello to. Just go nice and slowly. You know, it's not always about instant gratification. Sometimes it's about just being in the moment and loving it for what it is. Anyway, before I get any more soporific, because I'm suddenly feeling, I could just snooze, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Stay well in the meantime. Get up to some mischief in your garden. See you soon. Take care, everyone.